Hey, what's up everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'll be sharing with you my June TBR, so please stay tuned. I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. But before I even get to my June TBR, first I have to say happy Pride Month. I'm so excited about this month, and I'm also excited about all the books that I'm going to be reading in June as well. So let's get started with the first couple of books that I'll be reading in June. So as you all know, if you don't know, me and Brisha Reads are continuing on with the Brandon Sanderson read along. So of course we have a lot of books to cover this month. So not only are we reading the entirety of the Mistborn Heir 2, but we're also going to be reading a novella as well. So about 3.5 books. So for the novella is called Mistborn: The Secret History. This is not a long novella at all. It's really short. It's not that long. So it will not take you any time to read it, but I'll be reading it in this book, The Archium Unbounded. And so you can see right here, here is the Mistborn Secret History. So we'll be reading the novella in this, and then we'll also be reading, like I said, the entirety of the Mistborn Heir 2. So we're going to be reading The Bands of Mourning, which is right here. We're going to be reading The Alloy of Law, and we're going to be reading Shadow of Self. So these are the 3 books, as well as the novella, that I'm be reading in June. They all look amazing. We finished Heir 1, and of course I was in tears. I was not expecting all that to happen at the end, but I'm happy that I did read them finally. And so now we're continuing on with it. So the first book is The Alloy of Law, Shadow of Self, and then The Bands of Mourning. So for the Alloy of Law, it says, in Scoundrel, ever taller towers race for the clouds, and railways and canals crisscross the land, but this is still a place of magic. Kelsier, Ven, Ellen, Sazed, and Spook have become legend, or religion, but even as science reaches new heights, the old magic of Allomancy and Fairchemy have a role in this new reborn world. In the roughs, the wilds beyond the cities, magic is a crucial tool for the brave men and women attempting to establish order and justice. One such as is Wucklium Ladrian, and family tragedy is about to force Wax to return to the metropolis of Ellendale. He must assume the duties and dignity incumbent upon the head of a noble house, or so he thinks, until he learns the hard way that the mansions and elegant tree-lined streets of the city can be even more dangerous than the open plains. So I think this is like maybe 300 years later or something like that. Don't get me lying. But this is the first book of the Mistborn Heir 2, which is The Alloy of Law, which is a very small book, which we decided to just read the whole Mistborn Heir 2 in 1 month because it's a very short book as well. It's about only 300 and something pages, so it's not long at all. So we have this, and then we also have Shadows of Self, which says, return to Mistborn, join the hunt for a mysterious assassin. The criminal elite of Ellendale were invited to an auction, which became a massacre when an unknown assailant slaughtered everyone in attendance. Now Wax and Wayne, both able to use magic, both lawmen from the rough and ungoverned frontier territories, are on the case. All the clues suggest the killer is a rogue conjurer called Bleeder, a secretive, almost mythical figure who strikes from the shadows, and that the governor is the next target. Bleeder and the conspiracy behind the killings has to be stopped before the city is plunged into chaos. So that one sounds good. And then we have The Bands of Mourning, which says, the Bands of Mourning are the mythical metal mines owned by the Lord Ruler, said to grant anyone who wears them incredible powers. It says, hardly anyone believes they really exist, but now a conjurer researcher has returned to Ellendale with images that seem to depict the bands, as well as writings in a language that no one can read. And it is Wucklium Ladrian who is recruited to travel south to the city of New Saren to investigate. Along the way, he discovers clues that point to the true goals of his uncle Edwin and the shadowy organization known as the Set, and faces his most terrifying challenge yet. So yeah, I'm excited to read all this, and then also the novella in The Archium Unbounded. So definitely cannot wait to read these. But yeah, these are all going to be the books that I read, or not all of them, but some of the books I'll be reading in June. This next book that I'll be reading with Brisha Reads and Bree from Lock Beautician, as well as Erica from The Broken Spine, and that is The Good House by Tanner Dew. I'm excited to reading this book. Now, it is definitely a chunker, so I will be playing on hybrid reading this book, where I'll be reading it physically and also with the audiobook. So yeah, so for this book, it says the home that belonged to Angela Toussaint's late grandmother is so beloved that townspeople in Secaucus, Washington, call it the Good House. But that all changes one summer when an unexpected tragedy takes place behind its closed doors, and the Toussaint's family history and future is dramatically transformed. Angela has not returned to the Good House since her son Corey died there 2 years ago. But now Angela is finally ready to return to her hometown and go beyond the grave to unearth the truth about Corey's death. Could it be related to a terrifying entity Angela's grandmother battled 7 decades ago? And what about the other senseless calamities that Charlotte has seen in recent years? Has Angela's grandmother, an African-American woman reputed to have powers, put a curse on the entire community? A thrilling exploration of secrets, lies, and divine inspiration, The Good House will haunt readers long after its chilling conclusion. So yeah, this will be the first book that I'll be reading by Tannery Dew, so I'm excited for it. The cover is beautiful, by the way. So yeah, I definitely cannot wait to buddy read this with everyone. This is definitely going to be a fun read, so I cannot wait for this one. The next book that I'm finally going to be reading is by Zion J. Sao. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly, but it's Iron Widow. This came out last year. Everybody's been raving about this book, and I'm so excited for this. And it says, in Zoxia, the highest honor for a young girl is to be selected as a concubine pilot. Supporters paired up with male pilots to power up Lysisis, the giant transforming mixas that humanity relies on to battle the massive aliens that lurk beyond the Great Walls. But the honor often ends in death, and when 18-year-old Zetian's sister is killed by an ace male pilot, Zetian signs up to avenge her. The vengeance is swift, brutal, and unexpected, leaving Zetian labeled as an Iron Widow, a much feared kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up Chrysalis, hopefully I'm saying that right, instead of the other way around. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she is paired up with Lee Shemin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in Hosia. But now that Zetian has had a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage her and Shimeon's combined might and infamy, and survive attempt after attempt on her life until she can figure out exactly why the pilot system relies so heavily on destroying girls' lives and dismantle it for good. So yeah, definitely cannot wait to read this. This is such a great book to read for Pride Month as well, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. And even on the back, which it says by Julie C. Dow, like its ferocious heroine, Iron Widow is a brutal, bloodthirsty, and full of rage. Sentient's fight to shatter patriarchal definitions of power makes for a truly thrilling read. So yeah, cannot wait to read this. Oh, the cover is just beautiful, and I've heard a lot of great things about this, and it's that time. It's that time where I read this book. So I'll be reading this in June as well. And the next book that I'll be buddy reading this with Bree, and that is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I've been seeing a lot of people read this or want to read this. I know in our live, people also wanted to read along with us, so I'm definitely excited for that. Me and Bree still have to chop it up about the details for that, so stay tuned for that, to be determined. But yeah, this cover is gorgeous. I've heard nothing but great things about this book. And even on the back, it says, the streets of 18th century Cairo. Nahiri is a con woman of unsurpassed skill. She makes her living swindling Ottoman nobles, hoping to one day earn enough to change her fortunes. But when Nahiri accidentally summons Dara, an equally sly, darkly mysterious Jinn warrior, during one of her cons, she learns that even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. Forced to flee Cairo, Dara and Nari journey together across hot, windswept sands teeming with creatures of fire and rivers where the mythical Merid sleep, past ruins of once magnificent human metropolises and mountains where the circling birds of prey are more than what they seem, to Davenabad, the legendary city of brass. It's a city steeped in magic and fire where blood can be as dangerous as any spell. A city where old resentments can run deep, and the royal court rules with a tenuous grip. A city to which Nahiri is irrevocably bound, and where her very presence threatens to ignite a war that has been simmering for centuries. So yeah, definitely cannot wait to read this. This sounds like a great book. Me and Bree will continue on reading this together with the other 2 books after this one. So I'm super excited for that. But yeah, so I'll be reading this in June. I have 4 more books left, y'all. So this next one is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. This is by Akwaeke Emezi. They are amazing. Their writing has no limitations, just none whatsoever. And I do look forward to reading this because it sounds amazing and the cover is just excellent. So for this, it says, Faye Adekola wants to learn how to be alive again. It's been 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life, and she's almost a new person now. An artist with her own studio, sharing a brownstone apartment with her ride-or-die best friend Joy, who insists it's time for Faye to ease back into the dating scene. Faye isn't ready for anything serious, but a steamy encounter at a rooftop party cascades into a whirlwind summer she could never have imagined. A luxury trip to a tropical island, decadent meals in the glamorous home of a celebrity chef, and a major curator who wants to launch her art career. She's even started dating the perfect guy, but their new relationship might be sabotaged before it has a chance by the overwhelming desire Faye feels every time she locks eyes with the one person who is most definitely off limits, his father. Ooh, okay. This new life she asked for just got a lot more complicated, and Faye must begin her search for real answers. Who is she ready to become? Can she release her past and honor her grief while still embracing her future? And of course, there's the biggest question of them all. How far is she willing to go for a second chance at love? Akwaeke Emezi's vivid and passionate writing takes us deep into a world of possibility and healing, and the constant bravery of choosing love against all odds. Oh my god, I am super excited to read this. This is not a short book, it is a short book, so it's not very long, and I just love their writing so much. So definitely look forward to reading this in June, and this will probably one of the books I read at the beginning of June. So here we have it. We have this gorgeous book right here. This next book that I'll be reading is Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. I haven't heard a lot about this book, and I really want to do a review about it. I'm not going to read the synopsis because I just want to be surprised. I know it's mainly about a nurse, and the cover is just so enticing, so appealing, and it just has that mysterious type of vibe. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. This is definitely probably going to be also another book that I'll be reading at the beginning of June, because I also will be hybrid reading it. I have audio of it from Libby, so I definitely will be doing hybrid reading this book. So stay tuned for a review, because I definitely will be doing one for this book. The next book that I'll be reading is Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Torrado. This book I've had since it released, and I need to finally read it, and this is a great month to do so, since it's Pride Month. So yeah, I definitely look forward to reading this. And even on the back it says there were only 3 rules to live by for the next hour if you wanted to survive. 1, before 3 a.m. but no earlier than 2:45 a.m. Flip a coin 3 times to decide between 2 directions. Number 2, begin the journey the 3 minute it is 3 a.m. and chance we are in echo bound 3 times. Continue in the direction chosen. Number 3, do not end the journey before 4 a.m. If you try, you'll become part of the journey. So it sounds good, all just from that alone. But for the synopsis, it says mysterious disappearances, an urban legend rumored to be responsible, and one group of friends determined to save their city at any cost. It says, for more than a year, the Bronx has been plagued by sudden disappearances that no one can explain. 15-year-old Raquel does her best to ignore it. After all, the police only look for the white kids. But when her crush Charlie's cousin goes missing, Raquel starts to pay attention, especially when her own mom comes down with a mysterious illness that seems linked to the disappearances. Raquel and Charlize team up to investigate, but they soon discover that everything is tied to a terrifying urban legend called the Echo Game. The game is rumored to trap people in a sinister world underneath the city, and the rules are based on a particularly dark chapter in New York's past. And if the friends want to save their home and everyone they love, they will have to play the game and destroy the evil at its heart or die trying. So yeah, I definitely looking forward to reading this book. And also, if you take the dust jacket off, here's what the book looks like, and it looks so beautiful. I have not heard a lot about this book, so you also might see a review from me with this one. but it looks interesting. And just from that picture alone of like the hardcover itself without the dust jacket, it looked like some sort of bug or some type of insect. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, and the cover is definitely giving me some good vibes. It's definitely going to be for me. So I definitely cannot wait to read this, but this is another book that I'll be reading in June. And last but not least, possibly another review, because I've been dying to read this and it's now coming. It's time. And that is The Blood Trials by Annie Davenport, which cannot wait to read this so much. I'm sure y'all already heard about this book and all that, you know, across BookTube, Bookstagram, TikTok, all that stuff, Twitter. So I'm not going to even give the synopsis for this one, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. I've heard nothing but great things about it. There were some controversial misunderstandings about how this cover is looks YA, which it sort of does, but I knew from the jump prior to its release that it's an adult book, adult fiction, or excuse me, yeah, adult fiction fantasy book. So I definitely cannot wait to read this. So I look forward to this so much, especially since I read Blood Scion earlier this year. It's definitely giving me those vibes. Just that this is an adult book, so definitely cannot wait to read that, or excuse me, read this particularly. So yeah, stay tuned for if I do a book review. I probably will do a book review for a lot of books that I read this month, but who cares? I'm just going to do it because I enjoy book reviews, especially for a lot of books that have become my favorite or are my favorite or my anticipated reads of the year. So there is that. And then that is it. Those are all the books that I'll be reading in June. It's not a lot, but it's enough. Hopefully I can get through all of them. Hopefully, it's a stretch. There's just a lot of books. They're not all like chunky books, so I might get to read them fairly quickly, depending on how everything goes with my schedule. But here it is. These are all the books that I'll be reading in June. I really hope that I can get through them all. Not all of them are that chunky. Some of them are. Some I do have audiobooks for, so I might be able to get through them just a little bit quickly than normal. But that is my June TBR. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya!